Does it? Asked Dr. Vasquez gently. Or does wisdom come from intensity of experience? You see, when you have 10,000 years to solve a problem, you can afford to spend centuries on false starts. When you have 80 years, you learn to focus, to collaborate, to build on each other's work at incredible speed. She activated a holographic display showing human achievements. We went from first flight to landing on our moon in 66 years. From discovering DNA to mapping the human genome in 47 years. From inventing computers to creating artificial intelligence in 70 years. Councillor Vorthark stared at the display. I spent 73 years just deciding which of my ceremonial robes to wear to my coronation. We've developed more art, literature, music, science, and philosophy in our brief spans than most species accomplish in millennia, Dr. Vasquez continued. Not because we're superior, but because we're desperate. We know our time is limited, so we burn bright instead of burning long. Dr. Chen nodded enthusiastically. A human scientist named Carl Sagan once said we are made of star stuff. We're a way for the cosmos to know itself. But we're temporary star stuff, so we have to work fast. High Sage, Miotara's energy form, dimmed with something that might have been shame. I have existed for 15,000 years, and in that time, I have maintained the status quo. Preserved ancient wisdom, but created nothing new. There's value in preservation, Dr. Vasquez said kindly. But perhaps there's also value in urgency. We could learn from each other. Your patience and stability combined with our innovation and intensity. Young Kevin Park raised his hand tentatively. Also, I was wondering, with lifespans like yours, have you considered having children more often? I mean, if you're going to live for thousands of years anyway, you could raise dozens of generations, guide them, teach them. The alien delegates exchanged glances. Most long-lived species had children rarely, perhaps once every few centuries. The Voxani, whispered their ancient representative, last had offspring 800 years ago. We thought we had time. Time, Dr. Vasquez mused, might be the most precious resource in the universe. Not because it's scarce for everyone, but because how you use it defines who you are. You have the luxury of time, we have the urgency of mortality. Together, we might accomplish things neither of us could manage alone. Ambassador Thelixson found herself experiencing something unprecedented in her nearly 5,000 years of existence. Excitement about the future. Not the distant theoretical future she had always planned for, but the immediate, actionable future that these brief-lived humans lived in. Dr. Vasquez, she said slowly, would you be willing to teach us how to hurry? The human smile could have powered a star. We'd be honored to. But first, let us learn from your patience. We have a saying on Earth, life is not measured by the number of breaths we take, but by the moments that take our breath away. She looked around the chamber at beings who had witnessed the birth and death of civilizations. Perhaps it's time we all started creating more of those moments. Captain Thryckviven had seen civilizations rise and fall across the galaxy, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. Standing before the assembled council of apex survivors aboard the fortress ship Endurance, he felt the weight of 3 centuries of carefully constructed identity crumbling beneath him. The council chamber housed the galaxy's most elite brotherhood, the only known species to have evolved on Deathworlds and lived to tell the tale. Each member bore the scars and adaptations of planets that had tried to kill them every day of their evolutionary history. There was Commander Zexhai of the Molten Reach, her heat-resistant carapace gleaming like burnished metal. Her people had evolved on a world of active volcanoes and acid rain, where the very air could melt unprotected flesh. Beside her sat Overseer Grith, whose people had survived the ice-locked wasteland of Thanor Prime, where temperatures never rose above what most species considered lethal freezing points. The Council's newest member War Chief Coltaran represented the Razor Cliff survivors, a species that had thrived on a world where hurricane-force winds carried crystalline sand sharp enough to cut through starship hull plating. His scarred hide and enhanced lung capacity told the story of a people who had learned to breathe through filter organs and move like shadows through cutting storms. For 200 years, they had believed themselves unique, the only beings in the galaxy, hardy enough to survive worlds that actively tried to exterminate life. They had formed an exclusive alliance, sharing technology and mutual respect, born from understanding what it meant to crawl up from planetary hell and reach for the stars. "Brothers and sisters of the void," Captain Thraxhaven began, his voice heavy with the gravity of his report, "I have encountered a complication in our understanding of the galaxy." The assembled survivors leaned forward. Thraxhaven's own species, the Iron Shore clans, had evolved on a world where massive predators roamed continents of poisonous metal. His people's metallic skin and toxic blood were adaptations that had taken millions of years to develop. If something had rattled him enough to call an emergency session, it was worth their attention. 3 cycles ago, we encountered a new species. They call themselves humans. Thraxhaven activated the holographic display, showing images of the creatures they had met. At first glance, they appeared to be standard carbon-based life forms from a garden world. Soft skin, vulnerable organs, no natural armor or obvious environmental adaptations. Commander Zexhi's heat vents flared with mild interest. Typical garden worlders then, pampered children of easy planets. What concern are they to us? That, Thraxhaven said grimly, is what I thought. Until I learned about their homeworld. The hologram shifted to show a blue and green planet, beautiful and serene in the void of space. Several council members made dismissive clicking sounds. However, Thraxhaven continued, this peaceful appearance is. Allow me to share what I discovered about Earth. The display changed, showing atmospheric readings that made War Chief Coltaran's filter organs wheeze in shock. 21% oxygen concentration? That's an explosion waiting to happen. Indeed. But that's merely the beginning. Thraxhaven's scarred features grew grave. Their planet experiences what they call weather massive atmospheric disturbances that can generate winds exceeding 300 kilometers per hour, electrical discharges powerful enough to vaporize stone, and temperature fluctuations that span over 100 degrees in their measurement system. Overseer Grith's ice-blue eyes widened. Surely their civilization developed in sheltered areas, away from these phenomena? No, Thraxhaven replied. They build cities directly in the paths of these storms. They've created recreational activities around them. I observed humans deliberately seeking out these weather patterns for what they termed entertainment. The chamber fell silent, except for the hum of life support systems.